It's my pleasure to introduce the chairperson of the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore, Jim Allman, who will be starting the meeting.
Thank you, Spicer. Thank you all for attending this terrific event. We are near capacity, 320 here today, and we thank you all for coming. We've got the usual interesting and entertaining program, and we promise to get you out on time. Each one of you at your table should have at least one director of the Community Foundation. They are filled with knowledge about the foundation and want to answer every question you've ever had. And we also have wonderful staff people around to keep an ear out in case they don't give you the exact information the way we like it to be presented. So please talk about the foundation a little bit at your lunch and see if those directors know what they're doing with us. We're going to have lunch first, and then we'll have the meeting. I'd ask that everyone stand first for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. And George Patterson will now come up and give the invocation. George, of course, with Trinity United Methodist Church. Before that, he was with Atlantic United Methodist in Ocean City.
Let us pray, please. O God of the gracious and gentle Spirit, indeed, you fill our days with your blessings and beauty, with your goodness and your grace. And so, O God, with our souls and spirits bowed before you, we thank you for the mission of the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore, and for the many wonderful ways that countless lives are enriched and touched, and for the ways in which they contribute to building better communities. We thank you for the wise and insightful leadership of Dr. Spicer Bell, for his devoted and dedicated staff, for the wisdom and the guidance of the board of directors, and for the countless volunteers. We thank you, O God, for the persons who give us such gracious and generous ways through their contributions, as they witness to us the biblical principle that in giving we model the life of Christ, and that in giving countless lives are touched. Now, O God, we give thanks for the health and strength to enjoy this meal. We thank you for food for the body, but also food for the soul. May we never lack for either, and always, always, always have an appetite for both. In Christ's holy name, amen.
Amen. Could I have your attention, please? So we can get everyone out on time, I'd like to start the meeting. Can you hear me now? How's that? As I said, you each have a director at your table. We want to take a moment now to recognize those directors. I know you want to have long applause for each one, but I'd ask that you hold those applause until I've named everyone. And please, when your name's called, stand and remain standing until the thunderous applause ends, and then you can have a seat. John Allen. John. Jay Berge. Todd Burbage, Jackie Cassidy, Jane Corcoran, Anne-Marie Dickerson, Charles Gosley, Karen Lischick, Duke Marshall, Kathleen McLean, Jim Morris, Melody Nelson, Susan Purnell, Ernie Satchel, John Stern, Don Taylor, Lou Taylor, Lauren Taylor, Dave Voorhees, Stephanie Willie, and Julius Zahn. The ones that couldn't be with us today, unless they slipped in the back door, are John Barrett, Ray Thompson, and Jim Thomas. Please join me in thanking these folks for their contribution. We've lost 4 individuals in this last year who helped build this foundation. In your program, you'll see 2 of them mentioned at, I believe, page 23, Virginia Layfield and Virginia Korf. Virginia was one of the founding board members of this organization, and we miss her. We also lost David Stein and Richard Wooten, who were also founding board members of the foundation, so we want to remember them at this meeting. We now have the business part of the meeting. We have 2 reports. I'm going to ask Melody Nelson, who's chairman of the membership committee, to come forward, and also Susan Purnell, who's the treasurer, and they will each make their reports.
Thank you, Jim. On behalf of the Membership Nominating Committee, I would like to report to you that I'm pleased to have the opportunity to nominate 2 outstanding individuals today for membership on the Board of Directors of the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore. First, I would like to thank the members of our nominating committee for their fine work in this process. And I'll refer to, they don't have to stand, but I'll just refer. I'd like to thank Jay Berge, Art Cooley, Charles Gosley, Kathleen McLean, Ray Shockley, and Jeff Turner. Today we have 2 nominees for a 3-year term for the Board of Directors. First, I would like to ask Dr. Carolyn Johnston to stand. I know she's here. Thank you. Carolyn is the supervisor of reading for the Wicomico County Public School System. Actively involved in her community, Carolyn is an associate member of the Junior Board of PRMC. She serves on the Fruitland Community Center Board of Directors. She's active in the Wicomico Mentoring Program, is a member of the Church of Holy Spirit in Ocean City. Carolyn was named one of Maryland's top 100 women in the year 2007 and again in 2009 by the Daily Record, which recognizes professional success, community leadership, mentoring, and other contributions being made by women throughout the state to better their communities. Carolyn lives in Salisbury with her husband, Bill. And next, thank you. And next, I would like to ask for Mike Truitt to please stand. I did, thank you, Mike. Mike is a senior financial advisor for Merrill Lynch. He serves on the Worcester Preparatory School Board of Directors, is Atlantic Methodist Church Finance Committee Chairman, a member of the University of Maryland Terrapins Club, past president of the Salisbury Lions Club, and Mike lives in Bishopville with his wife Beth and their 2 children. I'd like to ask the board members, please, may I have a second to these nominations?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Secondly, I am pleased to have the opportunity to nominate the following board members for re-election to an additional 3-year term. And I will ask if they will stand when I call their name, and please hold your applause. Todd Burbidge, Jacqueline Cassidy, Charles Gosley, Jim Morris, Susan Purnell, and Donald Taylor. May I please have a second to this motion?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, I would like to submit the following names for the 2012 Board Membership Committee. And if these people will please stand. James Berge, Arthur Cooley, Charles Gosley, Melody Nelson, Ray Shockley, Jeffrey Turner, and Kathleen McLean. And at this point, may I have a second again?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say yes? Yes. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Melody. This year we've combined the treasurer's report with the audit report and the money manager's report, and I'm going to do all of them, so this should go really fast. But it's going to require some class participation, so please pay attention. Ready? TGM Group, LLC, conducted the Foundation's fiscal year 2011 independent audit. As in all prior years, the auditors issued an unqualified audit opinion, which indicates the financial statements fairly reflect the financial position of the Community Foundation. Summary financial statements can be found on pages 26 and 27 of the annual report in front of you. Comprehensive financial statements are available at the Foundation's office or on the Foundation's website at www.cfes.org. I would like to call your attention to the financial position of the Foundation that had grown to over $81 million as of June 30th. Pretty amazing. The majority of these assets remain invested in a highly diversified portfolio which is managed by Mason Investment Advisory Services under the supervision of our investment committee chaired by Tom Hershey. In spite of volatile market conditions, our portfolio continues to perform very well when compared to other community foundations across the country. At this time, I would like to ask for a second to my motion to accept the 2011 audit. All in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Very good. The Audit Committee and Board are recommending the engagement of TGM Group, LLC, Certified Public Accountants, as the Community Foundation's independent auditor for fiscal years 2012, 2013, and 2014. I would like to ask for a second to my motion to accept the recommendation of the Audit Committee and Board as presented. All in favor? Very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Susan. That's what we like at these meetings, no dissent. Everybody's in agreement. Get you out of here quicker. The next thing on the program is the chairman's report. It's less a report than just what I like to do is review what you have at your seat. We spend a lot of time, at least the staff does, in preparing this annual report. And special thanks to Ann, who takes the lead on it. If you turn to the back cover, inside cover, both on that inside cover and the page before it, it lists our sponsors. And we'd like to take a moment to further recognize those sponsors. PNC Bank, BB&T, Ray Shockley, Francis Scott Key, Anne Marie Dickerson, First Shore Federal, Pam and Mackie Stansel, Pepsi Bottling Company, Taylor Bank, and then on the preceding page is the Mason Investment Advisory Services, Inc. Thanks to those sponsors, the cost of the report and this meeting are completely underwritten. So it's a big burden lifted off the Community Foundation's bank account to have those sponsors. It's a lot of money to commit, and we thank them for everything they do. If you turn back to the first inside cover, you get a snapshot there of what we've done at the Foundation for the last fiscal year. You'll see there that we made $3.5 million distributed that amount in 2011. And it went through 1,021 grants. You'll also see, got to turn on my device here. You'll also see that $3 million was received by the Foundation from gifts totaling 1,268. And over $220,000 was given out in scholarships. Also on that page, you'll see that we got our 500th fund. The Salisbury Sunrise Rotary Club established that fund, hitting the 500 mark. On the next page is an excellent letter from Spicer and me that you'll want to read a few times. On page 3, take a moment to look again at the directors of the foundation. And I point this out because I want you to recognize what many of you already know, and that is our directors are your directors. The folks that serve on the Community Foundation, we're proud to say, have served or are currently serving on many of the nonprofits that are represented here today and that are in our community, whether it's United Way, Worcester Youth and Family Counseling, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Atlantic General Hospital, PRMC, Rotary Club, Salisbury University. These directors are active in your community, and that's what makes them even more effective on our board. On that same page, you'll see listed the staff members. I believe Spicer's going to introduce you to each and every one, but we are so blessed with a great, dedicated, responsive staff. Moving on through the book, at page 8, we list all the funds. 4 pages of listing of funds that have been set up by individuals and organizations that are changing lives in our community and elsewhere. Past that, we get into page 15, where we show all the grants that we've been making, $3.5 million. And there's a list of all the organizations that have been benefited from grants from the Community Foundation. And it goes on for 5 pages. Finally, at page 23, as I said, was the memorial to Virginia, both Virginias that we miss. Finally, on Friends of the Foundation, on page 24, we show people that are giving either to the foundation their time or their money or both, and we're thankful for all of them. Also, we have corporations, businesses that continue to support everything we do. So I think that the report that I have is that we're more than just the Community Foundation when we gather here. We're really our community. We're our community of nonprofits. All of us are involved in making this community a good community, a strong community, a caring community. And by working together through the Community Foundation or Big Brothers Big Sisters or any of the other nonprofits that we're fortunate enough to have here, we're changing lives one at a time, and I thank you all for that. At this point, I'd like to talk about 2 board members who are retiring. I should have done it sooner probably, but we have 2 members that are stepping off of the board, and one could not be here today, but he certainly served well through his time on the foundation, and that is Ray Thompson of Taylor Bank. I believe Ray just took on a bigger job with the Maryland Bankers Association or some organization that's going to take a lot of his time, so Ray had to reluctantly step down, but we've got Todd Burbage and Jay Berge from the Taylor Bank Board still with us, so we're well represented, or that organization is well represented. The other person that we have to say goodbye to because she's hit her term limits is Karen Lishik. And Karen has been on the board since 1999. During the last 12 years, Karen served on a variety of committees. She's been on the Community Initiative Committee, the Education Awards Committee, the 25th Anniversary Partnership Prize, the Executive Committee, and the Community Needs Grant Committee. And that last committee, Karen served as the chair of the Community Needs Grant Committee for 7 years. She has done such a good job as the chair of that committee that it caused Jim Morris at our last board meeting to interrupt the meeting and just want to take time to recognize Karen's service to the Community Foundation. That Community Needs Grant Committee is one of the more challenging ones. As Karen will tell you, she never has enough money to give to all the deserving nonprofits. Her committee works very hard, and Jim just thought that her passion, her dedication, her effort was worthy of special consideration by our board and wanted to point that out at the last meeting. What Jim didn't know is that I had already determined the same thing, and for that reason, Karen Lishik is the recipient of this year's Chairman's Award. Karen, would you come up, please? Is this both? Congratulations. So you get this beautiful thing, and this is your retiring board member gift. Do you want to make some remarks or put in a plug for stuff?
Yeah, just
Put in a plug.
It's been an honor to serve the Community Foundation for the last 12 years, and I'm not stepping down as the grants chair yet, so I will continue on. Thank you.
Okay.
This later.
Okay. You want to? No, that's all right. Leave it there. We're fortunate to have, as you saw earlier, Spicer Bell as our president. For those of you that read the local magazines, you might know him as Mustang Man. And I'd like to call on Spicer now for his remarks.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you, Jim. It's always nice to have a board chair that you never know what they're going to say. But, I guess I could launch into comments about attorneys, but there are too many of them in the audience. I better behave myself. I was over here trying to make sure I was, greeting the judge earlier, because I know that we did lose Brian Shockley from our board this year because he was elevated to a judgeship, and you never know when you're going to be before the judge in other circumstances, so I wanted to be on in good terms. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. This meeting, a couple of folks commented to me earlier about the positive energy in this room, and it's palpable that you can feel the energy, the positive emotions that exist here. It's a celebration of the potential of community. It's a celebration of the potential of our community foundation. And it's because of caring people like you. It doesn't make any difference whether you're a donor, whether you're a volunteer, whether you're a member of a nonprofit organization that we support, whether you're a sponsor. It's the energy that we all bring to this organization that does tremendous good in our community. I assure you that you energize every one of us who are affiliated with the organization. I have much to cover in just a couple of minutes to do it, but first I want to add my appreciation to our board members. I've worked with a number of boards over the years, have served on a number of nonprofit boards, but this is the most energetic, dedicated, and caring group of individuals that I've ever encountered in such leadership positions. They truly are outstanding stewards for this foundation. I'd also like to introduce the staff. Their photograph is in the annual report. I guess it's kind of appropriate that we're photographed there with Sherman, the shorebird. But I'd like to ask them to stand. I'm going to ask you to join me in recognizing them once I've listed them all. Erica Joseph is our Director of Programs and Development. Gary Martin is our Chief Financial Officer. David Plotz is our Accountant and Information Systems Officer. B.J. Summers, our Donor Relations Officer. Pat Strasberg, our Office Administrator. Ann Schoolcraft is our Public Relations and Marketing Officer. And Heather Towers, our Assistant Program Officer and SureCan Coordinator. They are the energy of this foundation, and they are the folks that keep it running on all cylinders at all times. Please join me in recognizing them. You've heard some of the statistics, but now quickly, breaking up that $3,500,000, this year the Community Foundation provided general operating support. This is for day-to-day operations for area nonprofits and faith-based organizations in excess of $1.5 million. We distributed grants on behalf of our donors from donor-advised funds of another $1.6 million. Scholarships, updated from your annual report, ended up totaling $234,000. And we distributed capacity building grants and nonprofit support programs that totaled $237,000. The big check's over here on the side. It's over $3.5 million. If you look at the check, I'm still trying to get somebody to tell me who got the 99 cents. But I don't think we figured that out yet. But that's to the penny what we distributed this past year, and it all went to do good in this community. A couple of other highlights for us in the area. It's always great when you're recognized by your peers. Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore was listed in the Council on Foundations CF Insights report as one of the top 100 community foundations in the country for the second year in a row. Of the over 700 community foundations, we were in the top 100 in terms of gifts or donations per capita. That speaks very positively to the charitable giving, to the philanthropy of our area. The foundation was also recognized by the Center for Effective Philanthropy as part of a national study of community foundations. Our foundation was one of 3 foundations held up as an example in the study, cited for our strategic effectiveness of our work with nonprofits and our outreach to the community. We also passed a couple of other milestones that previous speakers have alluded to. In March, we established our 500th fund, and our total assets were in excess of $80 million by the end of the year. We recently had, under the leadership of some of our board members and a group of local women, they have established the Women's Fund, our newest fund at the Community Foundation. There's information on the fund provided in your annual report. It will provide a lasting way for women of the area to support programs that address issues unique to women and girls. The fund will be led by women for women. Now, that said, an idea for you gentlemen in the audience, if you're looking for a truly caring Christmas or holiday present for your wife, you might consider enrolling them as one of those visionary founders. We wanted to make sure everybody got that information. So, and if you have any questions about it, see one of the ladies on the board. They will, if they give them half an opportunity, they will talk you into it, believe me. As a way of sharing some other highlights of the year, I just want to illustrate the breadth of the work of the Community Foundation. We work in the areas of education and youth, historic and cultural preservation, healthcare, the arts, human services. In the area of education and youth this year, we provided a diversity of grants from organizations like Junior Achievement, the Horizons Program, Kids of Honor, the Fruitland Community Center, Wicomico Mentoring Project, Salvation Army, Girl Scouts, and Boy Scouts. In the area of historic and cultural preservation, we've supported the work of organizations like the Somerset County Historic Society, West Side Historic Society, Wicomico Historic Society, Friends of Teakle Mansion, Ratcliffe House Trust, Poplar Hill Mansion, Ward Museum, and the Furnacetown Museum. In the area of healthcare, we've distributed funds to PRMC, Atlantic General Hospital, McCready Hospital, Deer's Head, Coastal Hospice, Hartley Hall Nursing Home, Cancer Support Community Delmarva, and Women Supporting Women. In the area of arts, we've been gradually able to increase our footprint. We're working with the Salisbury Wicomico Arts Council, Ocean City Art League, Worcester County Arts Council, Art Institute and Gallery, Mid-Atlantic Symphony, Salisbury Symphony, and recently the Shakespeare at the Beach program. Human Services continues to be our greatest focus, where we try to support programs that reach out to seniors and individuals in need. It's a lengthy list of organizations that we work with there, but most notably, and several of them are represented here today, Joseph House, Seton Center, Worcester Gold, the Life Crisis Center, the Salvation Army again, Halo, Christian Shelter, Mac Incorporated, Diakonia, Go-Getters, Village of Hope, Maryland Food Bank. We had a great partnership this year with the Shorebirds and the Arthur W. Purdue Foundation. It helped raise thousands of dollars for the food banks as a part of the Strikeout Hunger program. Clearly, there is no nonprofit organization in the area that has as diverse a portfolio of programs as we do. You helped create what has become, over the last 27 years, a diverse, sustainable, positive impact on the community and its citizens. Well, as I close, I want to take just a couple of minutes to speak about a roof, a meal, a warm, dry place to sleep. See, most of us in this room, I think virtually all of us in this room, woke up this morning probably pretty comfortable. We just had a great meal. A roof, a meal, a dry place to sleep is not a problem for us. During the past year, in addition to all the other projects that we have done at the Community Foundation, we have maintained a focus on homelessness. Working with organizations like Halo, Christian Shelter, Diakonia, Joseph House, Seton Center, Samaritan Shelter, and the Tri-County Coalition for the Homeless. The Foundation has built partnerships that are providing transportation services to help get homeless people back to work, to keep shelters fully operational, to provide food that is badly needed for food pantries and kitchens, to establish a day program for the homeless that was just recently opened by Halo, and to provide additional facilities for homeless families that we find badly needed in the area. The plight of the homeless has been graphically illustrated to me recently when I learned about Gary Hink. We take a roof, a meal, a warm, dry place to sleep for granted, but that's not always been the case for Gary. I've never met Gary, but I feel as if I know him. I've had an opportunity to read about him. He was recently featured in a publication of the American Heart Association. I've read his poetry. His life is an important lesson for me. Gary was an Air Force veteran. At the age of 26, he had a major stroke. Lost the use of his left arm. It left him with permanent brain damage. Damage that continues to negatively impact his life and his daily activities to this day. Epilepsy has become a permanent part of his life's challenges. In addition, the stroke left him with $42,000 of medical bills, destitute and on the street. Gary's experience led him to write this poem. It's entitled Homeless. My world fell apart the other day. A personal tragedy tore my world away. I was once so comfortable and secure. My life is now a constant blur. Family times and days well spent are now replaced by cold, hard cement. I never meant for it to be this way. A personal tragedy tore my world away. It's kind of you to help me when you do. Maybe you realize it could happen to you. That poem illustrates to me the way we tend sometimes to stereotype those who are less advantaged as we are. Thanks to many people, this story has a happy ending. Gary is now married. He lives in New York City, writes poetry, reaches out to the world around him, celebrates his faith in God every day, faith that he says sustained him. But you see, he was a victim of circumstances that he did not control. Without the assistance of others in his life, he would still be on the streets. But others did reach out, and they changed Gary's life. And at the same time, they changed their own lives. Changing lives one at a time, simply stated, is the theme of our annual report, and it's what we do. It's what your community foundation does every day. Even though the foundation's growth and statistics are impressive, the impact on individual lives is really what the foundation is all about. You see, we not only change the lives of the thousands of people who are served by the organizations that we help fund, but we witness firsthand every day the way that change changes the lives of our donors. I've literally had the pleasure of helping folks give hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars away, and I'm always amazed that they're the happiest people in the room. They didn't just give their money away and give money to us and walk away. Our donors typically stay involved with us. That's why you see the large crowd that we have today. They stay involved with us and us with them. By creating funds and giving through the foundation, donors are able to direct how they want their charitable giving to be carried out, and they're able to change lives for generations to come. There's a place for each and every one of us to become a part of the work of this foundation and change lives, whether it be the lives of the recipients or our own lives. Believe me, you will be thankful if you choose to become a part of that effort. I ask you, what will your legacy be? I want to thank you for the wonderful opportunity I have for working with everyone associated with this foundation, with all of you here today, and for all the great work you enabled us to do for 2011. Thank you. And now, we move on to our awards. Each year, the Community Foundation gives several awards. Traditionally, we're adding a new award this year, the Volunteer of the Year Award. The Volunteer of the Year Award is an exciting new addition to the Community Foundation's annual award program. The award is a compliment to the Shorcan Volunteer Center, its presence at the Community Foundation, and the work we've been able to do to connect volunteers with nonprofit organizations across the area. The center was brought under the Foundation's umbrella of service because we know how important volunteers are to the charitable organizations of the area. This is an inaugural year for the award, and its purpose is to honor the sacrifice, commitment, and value of volunteers. All of us employed by nonprofit organizations know that without the support of volunteers, we could not do the work that we do. The Volunteer of the Year Award was created to recognize the sustained, unselfish contributions of volunteers in our community. Whether it's delivering a meal to a shut-in, mentoring a child, caring for an abandoned animal, thousands of volunteers go above and beyond each and every day. In presenting this award, we are honoring not only the recipient, but all volunteers and the spirit of volunteerism throughout our communities. In addition to the Volunteer of the Year Award, the honoree will receive $1,000 for the charity of their choice. At this time, I'd like to introduce Community Foundation Board Member Duke Marshall, who will introduce the first Volunteer of the Year. Also joining me on the stage to present the award will be Don Taylor, and Don is the vice chair of the Board of Directors. John?
Spicer, what a big act to follow with those words of Gary and being able to give the first Volunteer of the Year Award. My name is Duke Marshall, and it's my privilege to announce this year's recipient of the Volunteer of the Year Award. This year's recipient has dedicated her entire adult life to the education and well-being of children. She had a 42-year teaching career in Worcester and Wycomico counties. After her retirement, she was, with the help of a good friend, transitioned the former Morris Street Colored Elementary School, where she was once a teacher, into the Fruitland Community Center tutorial program. And as they say, the rest is history. She's been the cornerstone of the center ever since. She continued what she loved doing, teaching young people and giving them dreams of success. She gave them the little extra nudge, little extra friendship, handshake that they needed, and just a little bit extra, maybe a little bit discipline to get them on their way. 28 years later, this remarkable woman continues to be a driving force for the Fruitland community and the Fruitland Community Center. She gives of her talents, her time, and financial support to foster the educational success of the children. She has kept the doors and her arms open. If you visit the center, you will see her in action, providing students with much-needed love, academics, accountability, discipline, and most of all, a safe place to be. As a result of her commitment, many of her former students, her children as she calls them, have achieved goals and reached heights that they thought was unattainable. Over 1,200 students have passed through those doors. Her students have many success stories. Some of those are out in this audience today, and without her little extra nudge, may not be here today as a result of that. At 92, she's not stepping down. She's still doing what she does best every day. In 2012, she plans to lead the 100th birthday celebration of the building that houses the Fruitland Community Center. This extraordinary woman's past honors include Citizen of the Year by the Fruitland Chamber of Commerce, Outstanding Senior Citizen of Maryland by the Jaycees of Maryland, an All-Star Volunteer by ShoreCan, the Maryland You Are Beautiful Award, and an Unsung Hero by Shore Living Magazine. One of the things that impresses me the most about this lady is, if you notice when she walks into a room, she fills it with love, and you feel so empowered when you see her. Her stature, her beauty, just her elegance as a pure lady. And with that, it gives me great honor to introduce our first year's recipient, Miss Mary Gladys Jones. Miss Jones, would you join us at the front?
My children would not believe that I'm speechless. Thank you so much. I have not done this alone. There are so many of you, those among you, my family, my church family, my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha. I've had so many people as a part of my support system. Today, 2 words come to mind: gratitude and humility. I'm just overwhelmed, and I accept this honor as one of the wonderful moments in my life of 29 years. Thank you so much.
Ms. Jones, that must have been a typographical error in reversing those digits in your age. I apologize. The Nonprofit Award of Excellence was created in 1989 in honor of Richard A. Henson for all of his generous contributions to our community. Once again this year, the award is being sponsored by PNC Bank. I'd like to invite Kelly Roop with PNC to come and join me on the stage to assist in the presentation. The Henson Award for Nonprofit Excellence sets a high standard for nonprofit organizations serving the Lower Shore. The organization selected to receive the award must make an outstanding contribution to the well-being of residents of the Lower Shore by responding to a significant community need, showing ingenuity and innovation in utilizing resources, demonstrate excellence in board leadership and responsibility. Once again this year, many excellent organizations were nominated, making the choice of our committee extremely difficult. In addition to being honored by the Community Foundation, the organization receives a check for $5,000 to support its work. At this time, I would like to introduce Marty Neat, former Foundation board member and chairman of the Nonprofit Award of Excellence Committee, who will introduce this year's Henson Award recipient.
Thank you, Spicer. Talk about a hard act to follow, Mrs. Jones. I'm delighted to be here today to present the Community Foundation's Award for Nonprofit Excellence in honor of Richard Henson, who, as you know, demonstrated a great concern for and generous support of our community. It's the Henson Award. This year, there were 7 impressive organizations nominated for this prestigious award. The agency honored today was founded in 1975 by a group of truly community-minded people to fill a gap in mental health counseling and related services in Worcester County. Today, this organization is a multi-service hub providing not only mental health counseling, but also life skills education, physical and emotional wellness activities, connections to community resources, advocacy to children, for children who are victims of abuse and neglect, and outreach services to our most vulnerable families. It has been said that the moral test of a community is how it treats those of its members who are least able to protect themselves. Those in the dawn of life, the youth, the dusk of life, the aged and infirm, and the shadows of life, the handicapped, the ill, the sick. If that be true, then certainly this agency makes a real moral impact on the Worcester County community, and its founders and supporters for the past 35 years can be very proud. Over that period, this organization has repeatedly demonstrated the entrepreneurial spirit that it was so important to Mr. Henson. This spirit has enabled it to grow and focus on the ever-changing needs of our communities and our society. In 2000, it responded to the vast number of children in the foster care system and that system's inability to provide safe supervision for these children by bringing CASA, a highly successful national program that advocates for children in foster care, to Worcester County. In 2001, it responded to the alarming rise in teen pregnancy among adolescent girls, and also adolescent girls entering the juvenile justice system by collaborating with the local management board and the National PACE Center for Girls to develop the SAGES program. This program focuses on the unique needs of adolescent girls and provides education, counseling, empowerment, support, and development of the female spirit. Since its inception, the SAGES program has dramatically improved the lives of more than 200 young ladies. In 2002, this agency responded to a community-wide needs assessment that revealed a critical lack of knowledge of available individual and family resources and services and the ability to access them by creating the Family Connections Community Services Program. Family Connections has assisted more than 4,000 families in Worcester County. In 2010, it responded to the rise in bullying instances in schools by establishing the widely successful Buds and Bullies Support and Education Program. In 2011, in partnership with the town of Berlin, it responded to the needs of local youth by developing, implementing, and coordinating programs and services for youth in the areas of arts, education and career development, health skills and sports, fitness and recreation. Throughout the history of this agency, partnerships have been very important, and they formed them with every other organization that they could, with public, private, state, and federal agencies to advocate on behalf of youth and families on the shore. This agency touches the lives of more than 2,000 individuals every year. Over the past 3 decades, its services and innovative programs have impacted more than 42,000 local individuals in need. Those in the dawn of life, those in the dusk of life, those in the shadows of life. Changing lives one at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my true honor to present the 2011 Henson Award for Nonprofit Excellence to Worcester Youth and Family Counseling Services.
That was very touching. Then I remembered, oh yeah, I wrote that. We are very honored to accept this award. Richard A. Henson was, from what I read of his life, was a tremendous person. So we are very honored to accept this award, and I would like to do that on behalf of everyone who makes Worcester Youth and Family such a wonderful organization. Our board of directors, our multi-talented staff, our many compassionate volunteers that we work with, our dedicated service provider partnerships, our many contributors, and the wonderful caring community of Worcester County that we love so much. Last but not least, we also accept this in honor of the many, many youth and families that we work with each year who are struggling with mental health issues, have economic challenges, and many other life situations through no fault of their own, who come through our doors, and we hopefully better their lives. So the Community Foundation has been a great supporter of our organization for many, many years, and this is truly an honor. So thank you so very much.
Teresa, congratulations. We're very proud of the work that you do and of anything that we can do to support your efforts. Our last award is the Frank H. Morris Humanitarian Award, which was established by the Community Foundation in 1991. The purpose of this award is to honor Frank Morris's lifelong dedication to the community and the high ethical standards and values and professional standards that Frank exhibited in his personal, professional, and community life. Frank's philanthropic spirit his integrity, and his compassion for others are values that still enrich our community today. They are values that we hold dear and wish to encourage in others. We continue to value them by annually presenting the Frank H. Morris Humanitarian Award. We at the Community Foundation are proud that the Morris family, I'm sitting with them here today, are continuing their affiliation in support of the Community Foundation that Frank so ably helped establish. For the past 20 years, this coveted award has been presented to individuals who have made a vital, sustained, unselfish contribution to the Lower Shore communities. Excuse me. Individuals who have demonstrated the values, vision, and leadership of Frank Morris. In addition to the award, each honoree receives $1,000 for a charity of their choice. At this time, I would like to introduce Chip DeShiel. Chip's a former Community Foundation board member and a member of the Frank Morris Humanitarian Award Committee, who will introduce this year's Frank Morris Humanitarian Award. Joining Chip on the stage is Jim Allman, our board chair, who will assist in the presentation.
Thank you very much, Spicer. Certainly a privilege to announce this year's recipient of the Frank H. Morris Humanitarian Award. The list of past honorees is indeed an impressive one, including many extraordinary volunteers who have made significant lifetime contributions to our community. This year, the selection committee had a long list of outstanding nominees, which made the selection process particularly difficult. However, one individual stood out as having the attributes that most clearly embody the humanitarian ideals and devotion to human values that epitomize the life of Frank H. Morris. This year's recipient is a lifelong advocate of community service. Some call him the workhorse of the volunteer community. Others have called him the philanthropic Ironman of the Lower Shore. But everyone who has had the pleasure to know and work with him have called him their friend. When he takes on a project, he jumps in fully prepared and fully committed. He rolls up his sleeves and gets the job done. And more often than not, he does so with an underlying incredible sense of humor. What sets this individual apart from other volunteers is that he is a dedicated leader who takes the initiative to assure the success of every project he undertakes. Moreover, he treats everyone and everything with the same degree of respect. Whether it's a concern for an oil-soaked wet kitten or a concern raised by a group of community leaders, every need is addressed with the same high level of interest and energy. And you will never meet a more humble individual. Organizations such as the Peninsula Regional Medical Center, Warwick Community College, the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore, the Salisbury Jaycees, Salisbury Neighborhood Housing Service, the Boy Scouts, Christian Shelter, the Joseph House Center, the Wicomico County Humane Society, the American Red Cross, and most recently the Salisbury Zoo have greatly benefited from his leadership and service. While never one to seek out recognition for his contributions to the betterment of our community, his dedication has not gone unnoticed. Among the many honors which he has received are the James Barrett Community Leadership Award, the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce's Citizen of the Year Award, the Rotary Club of Salisbury's Four-Way Test Award, and the Salisbury Jaycees Distinguished Service Award. This community leader continues the legacy represented by the high ethical, moral, and professional standards of Frank H. Morris. The terms exemplary leadership, vision, integrity, personal sacrifice, compassion, cooperation, and generosity of time and talents apply equally to Frank H. Morris and to our 2011 Frank H. Morris Humanitarian Award recipient, Mr. Martin T. Neate. Come on up, Marty, and receive this award.
Thank you, Chip, for those very kind remarks. Yeah, I am truly not often at a loss for words, but I'll use this as an opportunity to be so. Let me just say that I had the pleasure and the honor of not only knowing Frank Morris, but working for him. He was one of those guys, one of the true leaders that has made our community what it is and what it can be. And, you know, we're just trying to walk in those footsteps. I mean, it's... you know, I remember very well, he once gave us, I had a very small role in the YMCA campaign when he and other leaders were saving our local YMCA. And at the end of my very small role, he was handing out certificates, and one of them said, and the certificate said, we cannot have a better community, we cannot have a better life without improving our community. Our particular duty is to do those things that we are capable of doing. That's all I've ever tried to do. I'm fortunate to work at an institution that lives that creed to the nth degree and has throughout its history, and thank you very much.
My congratulations to all the award winners. It's a wonderful afternoon to be able to give out these awards to people that do so much for our community. I'd like to remind all the recipients to please come up afterwards so we can get some photographs. You know, I was at the Community Foundation last month, I think it was, where we were giving out around $96,000 in checks. And Spicer Bell, before he gave the checks, implored all the nonprofits that were there to use our logo, use our name, promote us in all their materials, because he said, remember, we're giving $96,000 out the front door today, but we need another $96,000 in the back door tomorrow so we can keep doing this. So I encourage you all to keep your good works going and to support this wonderful community. And I'll now call on Reverend George Patterson for the benediction. After which you all are excused, and thank you for coming.
Go forth in peace, hold fast to all that is good, model love and mercy and kindness to all people. Now may the blessings of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit be with you not only now, but forever and ever. Amen.